Hey everyone, so we're going to give you a little bit of a class plan to work on at home. So I'm going to give you a warm-up and some drills and some progressions that you can work on so that you kind of have some structure at home, okay? So the first thing I want you to do is I want you to warm up, okay? So for the warm-up, what I want you guys to do, and you can do it together with your family, okay, is nothing too crazy, all right? What I want you to do is I want you to do 10 jumping jacks, I want you to do 10 squat jacks, I want you to hold an iron chair for 10 seconds and a plank for 10 seconds, okay? So the jumping jacks, make sure your hands start by your side and do like a really good perfect jumping jack. Like clap, clap, which would be a perfect jumping jack. So 10 of those, and then a squat jack, you would go apart, touch, and then together, all right? Apart, together. You can jump a little bit higher if you want a little bit more of a workout, okay? And then you're gonna do an iron chair. So after that, you're gonna try to sit real low, hands out, okay? Hold that for 10 seconds, all right? Once you're done, you're gonna drop down and you're gonna go to a low plank and you're gonna hold that for 10 seconds, all right? So I'm gonna give you just kind of a little bit of how you would progress through it, okay? So you're gonna go 10 jumping jacks, okay? I'm not gonna do all 10 just for time, okay? Then you would go to an iron chair, and then you would go to a squat jack here and go straight to them. Then, good to go right to an iron chair in your last one. Hold that for 10 seconds. And then once you're done, drop right down. Don't even stand up, just drop right down to your plank and hold for 10 seconds. All right, and I want you to do that 5 times. All right, 5 times, all the way through. As you get to the last ones, it's gonna get a little tiring, but you should probably feel sweat going and you're gonna get, and you're gonna feel your body warm up. You definitely don't wanna start doing explosive motions without a good warm up, okay? So 10 jumping jacks, 10 squat jacks, 10-second iron chair, 10-second plank, all right? 5 times, all right? And then I think you'll be pretty warmed up for the next part, okay? So this is where I want you to pause the video, take the time and do that and try to do it at a pace where you don't have to rest, okay? So really commit to doing it all the way through, no rest, okay? But if you have to rest between sets, try not to rest for any more than 30 seconds, okay? So pause the video and get to it. All right, so now that you got a little heat going, you're a little warmed up, now we're gonna work our striking. We're gonna just do a little bit of a sequence to work everything that we're building on for the cycle, okay? So you have your base chain, you have your kicks. So what I want you to do, either to the air with a partner or whatever you have to train on, okay? You're gonna start by doing your base chains on each side and you're gonna do your kicks on each side, okay? So what you wanna do is make sure you're entering and you're exiting, all right? Very important that on all your combos, whatever we do, there's an entry and an exit, all right? So you're gonna enter in, 1, 2, 3, hook, cross, hook. Then you're gonna step out, then you'll enter in, hook, hook, cross. Then you'll exit out, then you'll step in, round kick, then you'll do a switch kick, all right? And then you'll do the sequence over again, okay? So with a little bit more heat on it, okay? 1, 2, 3, and then I step out, and then 1, 2, 3, step out, and then step in, kick, step out, switch advance a little bit, kick, and then step out, all right? So you're gonna go through that at least 10 times just to make sure that you are clear on the strikes that we're building off of, okay? So you can obviously do more and you can up the intensity as you go, but I want you to do that whole sequence at least 10 times, all right? So pause the video, go through it, okay? Take a couple minutes, and then when you're ready, restart the video and we'll get to the next section. All right, so now that you did the offense, now let's work the defense, okay? Now I'm gonna be clear on what everybody needs to work on based on their level, all right? So this is for the teen and adults striking, okay? So for the white belts and orange belts, so beginners, it's just gonna be the covers, okay? 1 and 2. You're gonna have the checks on either side, check, check, and then you're gonna have your frame. So if he's throwing a strike, right, boom, frame. Now if he was throwing with the other hand, I could either use that same hand, just go to the other shoulder, or I could switch hands, all right? So there's both ways to kind of do that stiff arm, that frame there, okay? So even if you're doing it to the air, you can just block, block, check, check, and then frame, all right? And get that stiff arm out, all right? So if you are an intermediate belt, then you're going to go through that sequence with the head movement, okay? So you would do the same idea where you would go block, block, but then you would go duck, duck, then pull, pull, and then checks, check, and then frame, okay? From there. And you could also do the frame on the other side if you want to add that as well. And then if you're an advanced belt, same thing, except you're going to add one extra kick at the end of the sequence. So you're going to do a little bit faster, sir. All right, you're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, block 7, 8. Then you do the stiff arm, boom, and then he throws a kick, and I catch. All right, and every time you go through the sequence, if you have somebody doing it at you anyway, you can have them switch legs and throw the kick with the other side. And if you have somebody who isn't comfortable or can't or doesn't want to kick at you, all right, you can always just have them use something padded and kind of swing it kind of like a kick, right? I mean, it's not exactly the same, but it gives you a visual cue, something to work with. So you could block like something padded, a padded stick or something, you could block that, or a hard stick if you're feeling hardcore, all right? You could block here, you could work on just movement and catch, so you're working that timing of it as you go, all right? So what I want you to do is I want you to do that defensive sequence, all right? So for the beginners, we're gonna do it each one again, all right? Beginners, it's gonna look like this, okay? Block, block, check, check, frame, okay? Then for the intermediate, same idea, you're just adding the head movement. Block, block, duck, duck, pull, pull, check, check, frame, okay? And then for the advance, you're gonna do that, but you're gonna add the kick at the end, okay? So, block, block, duck, duck, pull, pull, check, check, frame, kick, catch, okay? So go through that at least 10 times, go through that whole sequence so you got that defense. In the next video, we're gonna be putting some of that stuff together. We're gonna give you some ideas on what you can work, okay? So good luck with that. Pause the video, get to it, and when you come back, we'll have the next section. Okay, so you went through all the defense. Now we're gonna put it together with like a same side return, okay? Except maybe the frame might actually be a little bit, the stiff arm might be a little bit of an exception on that, but for everything else, we're gonna do it same side return, okay? So the way that that's gonna work is whatever side you defend with, that's the side you're gonna return with, and you're gonna return with that specific hand or leg, okay? So if I block on this side, and by the way, that counts as the entry, right? So if I'm, outside of range here, and then he steps in to hit me, that's his entry. So as long as there is an entry, it doesn't matter whether it's mine or his, that's okay, right? So he comes in, I block, but then I counter with that same hand, hook, hook, cross. And he swings and he steps out, okay, or I step out, and then he comes with the other side, and I block, boom, then I counter. 1, 2, 3, okay? Now, if he throws the kick, what I want to do is block, and then immediately switch. Okay, then block, and stutter as I go, all right? Now with the frame, if you're gonna do the frame, all right, what I would recommend that you do is you frame and then you just follow up with one other strike. And so you can communicate with your partner about kind of how that's gonna go. Typically, it's gonna be with the opposite side. So if he swings and I frame this way, I could go cross, right? I could frame and do the combo, 1, 2, 3. I could frame and then throw the kick if I have the space for it, okay? So I want you throwing something off of that frame, that stiff arm there, okay? Now with the intermediate and advanced, it's pretty much the same thing, you're just adding the other defense. So if I duck, then I'll counter with that side, okay? If I duck, counter with that side. If I pull, counter with that side. So whichever, even though I didn't block, it's whatever side he swung with, right? So he swung with that side here, right? And then with that, again, pull and then come right off of each side, okay? And then for the advanced, if you're doing the catch, you can really counter however you want. I mean, your advanced belts, you can kind of figure that out, right? What I would typically do though, is I'd catch, and then I would drop it in some way. So you could let it go and just throw. What I actually like to do with this is I like to pull, okay? Or I like to kind of throw through. So what I'll do is I'll step back, right? And I'll step out and I'll go through, and then I'll counter. Obviously he's gonna try to square up with me, but I'm gonna, sorry, woke you up a little bit there, all right? But you guys get the idea, right? So you can work on kind of countering with something, and if you have a pad holder, you know, he could throw that kick, right? I could sidestep that, and then as I go down, oh, maybe he can hold the pad out for me, and I come out, throw across, or something like that. Or if you want to throw more, I throw a kick, whatever it is, obviously just keep it safe and light. So what I want you to do is work on countering from that defense. So a good way to do it is take some time, put a timer on, and make it happen where it's predictable. You know which thing is coming, and so you can counter without having to think too much about it. Then, what I want you to do after a few rounds of that, put on like a 4 or 5 minute timer, go a longer round, and have, especially if it's a partner, have them make it random, where they're randomly attacking you, and you are countering appropriately. And remember that when you counter, it's more important that you counter properly than counter quickly. You build that speed over time, okay? So I want you to work that same side return, first doing it predictably, and then having it be unpredictable, especially if you're working with a partner, okay? If you don't have a partner to work with, you might just kind of have to shadow box it in the air, but if you use your imagination, you can still get some good work in, okay? So pause the video, get to it, and we'll get to the next section, which will be your grappling after that, okay? All right. All right, so now we're gonna drill the grappling for the cycle, all right? So what's gonna happen is we're gonna do the positional, then we're gonna do the submissions, then we're gonna put them all together, all right? So the positional is really just being able to take the back and then being able to escape, which is really the big ones, all right? So if you're working with somebody who also has martial arts experience or can do it with you, then if you play both sides, then you get work on both the escape and the positional on top. But if you're with somebody who's just kind of being your partner and they're not really going to do some of the other stuff, then we'll show you how you can work the escape, okay? So Sensei Ben's going to start in the ground. So really what I want you to do is just to start mounted, all right? And have your partner work on rolling over to their stomach, going up to their hands and knees, you taking their back, and then have them start to kind of escape a little bit, and you're going to remount, and you can just kind of do that in a never-ending sequence and go through it a couple times. What you want to do is make sure though that every time your partner rolls that they switch sides, so you get used to taking the back on each side. So we're going to go through the sequence twice, all right? So he's going to roll to one side, I bring my knee up, okay? I get my hooks in, making sure I'm lined up on the back, all right? As he rolls off to the side, he's then going to check my grip. He's going to make sure that I'm nice and secure. Then he's going to start to walk his hips out a little bit. Once I feel myself losing it, I go over the top, straighten my leg, and then I go back on top, and then you can start the sequence over again. And now he's going to go to the other side, so I get to work on taking the back the other way. Again, giving enough space, getting that hook in. He rolls to the side, he checks my grip, he starts to walk his way out. Again, pop the leg over and slide on top, okay? Now, if you're working with somebody who doesn't have martial arts experience or, and doesn't want to do the other side, like you can obviously teach somebody and they can watch these videos and learn some valuable stuff, all right? But if you just want to work the escape without going through the sequence, then just sit, sir, and have somebody take your back, all right? It's really just getting those hooks in and getting that over under, not too hard, okay? And you're gonna wanna make sure that you just kind of go to one side and then get your hips up. You can even, if you can get the arm out from around your head and stuff like that, you're able to do that, that's always great, okay? But if he's holding really tight and I can't seem to get that and I can't seem to break the grip, then I still keep moving my hips anyway. Now, if the person's not gonna remount you, and of course, be careful putting pressure on somebody, but you're gonna wanna drive up and turn and try to go to at least some kind of top position, okay? So, what you can do is work with that, all right, and go through that sequence and just make sure you're smooth on the transitions, all right? So go through the sequence, again, like 10 times is a good, kind of good measure to practice. If you want to do it more, If you feel really comfortable and you kind of want to move on, I totally understand. But don't neglect the practice and be really mindful about what you're doing and making sure that all the transitions are smooth. And then if you're feeling smooth, then try to go faster, but keep them smooth as you go fast, all right? So in the next section, we're gonna review the submissions, and then we're gonna put them all together, all right? So pause the video, drill your techniques a little bit, all right? and then come back for the next section. Okay, so now we're just gonna go over the submissions. So the way I want you to practice them is I want you to take your partner's back, all right? So they're just gonna sit, and you're gonna take their back, all right? And the way this works is you have your arm bar for every, so you have your rear choke for everybody, and then you have your arm bar for the intermediate, and then you have the triangle choke for the advanced, okay? So we're gonna go over the rear choke first, okay? So you're gonna grab your partner, and then how you're gonna do the choke is gonna depend on which side they fall on, okay? So if they fall to the, well here I'll switch so you can see, if they fall to the top side, then the rear choke's pretty easy. You just extend and then finish, okay? If they fall to that underside, then you're gonna wanna grab their shoulder, adjust your hands, so you're now back doing the bottom side of the choke here, and then finish, okay? So you can work that on both sides. So you can switch your grips and also switch the sides that you pull them to, and then work that choke as you go, all right? And just obviously make sure you're very careful that people are tapping out and nobody's passing out and stuff like that, okay? So there's that. If you're gonna do the arm bar and the triangle choke, so for the intermediate belts, okay, purple, blue, blue stripe, you gotta know that arm bar, okay? Which can only really be done from that underside. So I want you to make sure you work on both sides. You're gonna pull them to the side, hand goes over, all right? And foot goes over and finish, okay? So work that, about 10 times each side, just like the choke. So think everything 10 times, okay, when you do it, all right? And then for the triangle choke, you're going to that underside again, okay? Except you're replacing that top arm with your leg. So you're going over the top here. You're gonna grab your ankle, switch to the other side, scoot and I like to push on the hip here as I do that. Scoot my hips backwards, pull that leg across the neck, lock it in, and finish, okay? So, making sure that you're practicing that 10 times as well on both sides. So everything you should practice on both sides, especially advanced belts. You guys gotta be good at everything on both sides. So make sure you practice drill a little bit. It might be tough to find a partner who's willing to be choked, but you might be surprised, all right? And you can teach them as well, so let them choke you a little bit. And even if they don't train here at the school, they might find some value in learning some of these techniques. So see if you can jump them into the partner work a little bit, so you're not working by yourself and try to do this by yourself. It's hard to choke a ghost. All right. So anyway, work that, and then in the next section, we're going to work on just kind of some reflex development. Okay, and we'll tell you how you guys can work that with your partner. All right. So again, pause the video, and we'll see you for the next section. Okay. So for this next section, last section of the video, we're gonna work a little bit on reflex development, okay? So your partner is gonna be a little bit more random in their behavior, and you're just gonna have to finish appropriately based on where they end up, okay? So first thing they're gonna do is you're gonna start mounted on top of them, so sir, okay? And if you have a little bit more experience, you can also add in your partner kind of pushing up and you working the swims and side to sides and all that kind of stuff. But ultimately, eventually, they're gonna roll over, okay? And again, that side, the direction they roll should be random, and then he continues to go, right? I take his back, and then really the reflex development comes into, what do I do based on what he does? So if he falls to, just pick a side, sir. So if he falls to that side, what are my options right now? Well, my only option is this rear choke. So I finish with that rear choke because he's on the top side, okay? I can't do for those who are doing the arm bar triangle, can't really do it if you're here. And you're not gonna try to adjust that arm under, it's not gonna work, right? The other option is that he tries to escape, right? Even if I'm trying to get the choke, go ahead. And maybe he's blocking me, I can't get it, so I remount. I have to learn to let it go and just go to the remount, okay? So you can add that in there. And then throughout the sequence also is that maybe he rolls, go ahead sir, you can roll. I take his back, now he falls to the underside, all right? And now I have the option to either do the bottom side and switch and do the choke, all right? I could go for the arm bar. And the way I like to do the arm bar to the triangle, right, is let's say, for example, I'm here and I go to do I'm going to kick the leg over for the arm bar, but he's putting his head low and he's not letting me do it. Or maybe I'm trying to frame, go back up, trying to frame here and he's really pushing down and I can't seem to get the leg over, so I just go here. And now I go for the triangle, okay? Or maybe he even uses his hand to try to block me a little bit, like he's doing that, right? So I slip my hand in, or slip my foot in like that, I lock it up. Now I can go for the triangle on that side. So there's almost like a little bit of defense where they're a little bit more aware of the armbar, but you transition to the triangle instead, okay? So really the key with that is to try to make things random where you don't really know what your partner's gonna do, and you're just gonna try to react and make that reaction smooth, okay? Try not to act frantically when you're grappling. Don't feel like you're desperate to get it or desperate to get it quickly. Like, just be calm and smooth with everything that you're doing. That's really the key. Even when you speed it up, you can still be calm and smooth, okay? And that should really be your main focus whenever you're doing any grappling, is energy conservation, smoothness of technique, right? And just being calm when you're going through stuff, okay? So what I would do is put on a timer and do a couple rounds where you're doing reflex development. And if you're doing multiple rounds, each round, if you can, speed it up a little bit, ramp it up a little bit, right? Make your partner react, make you react a little bit faster, okay? And just keep it safe. Whatever you do, keep it safe. Don't go in and you don't have to do everything at high intensity level, okay? So intensity is overrated sometimes, so just be mindful of that. But if you do that, do a couple rounds of that. I would say 3 or 4 rounds, maybe 3 minutes each, something like that. All right, and you're not only gonna get like a nice little sweat on, but you're gonna make sure you get some good drilling on your technique, okay? So get to it, practice it, and if you do this whole video, you're gonna be really set for the end of the cycle, okay? So good luck, all right? And we'll see you guys on the mats eventually.